The story begins with a small passenger plane heading toward America. During the flight, a passenger asks the flight attendant in surprise why the flight route has suddenly been changed. The flight attendant explains that the weather on the original route is very bad, so the pilot made the decision himself to change course, and the plane will now fly over the Amazon. Since there were only 8 passengers on this flight, nobody took this too seriously. But a little while later, the entire plane suddenly begins shaking violently. The pilot notices that the plane's GPS system has abruptly stopped working. Even the control panel is not responding. The pilot immediately tries to contact the base station, but that attempt also fails because the radio communication system had also gone down. The strangest thing of all was that the pilot seemed to have sensed something would go wrong beforehand. While somehow keeping the plane under control, he starts recording a final video on his phone. In that video, he says that this plane is hiding very big secrets, and seeing them had already given him the feeling that a serious accident could happen. The plane now begins falling rapidly. A dense jungle and tall mountains are visible ahead. The pilot somehow tries to use tree branches to slow the plane down, so the impact of the crash would be reduced. After dragging for several kilometers, the plane finally comes to a stop. Almost all the passengers on board survive, but the flight attendant, who had not been wearing a seatbelt, dies on the spot. Now all the passengers anxiously begin discussing with each other what they should do. They first confirm that apart from the flight attendant, no one has sustained any serious injuries. After this, 2 passengers quickly go to the cockpit to check on the pilot's condition, but what they see there leaves them stunned. Several large tree branches have gone straight through the pilot's chest, yet somehow he is still alive. Both passengers slowly try to clear the seat so the pilot can breathe properly. Just then, the sound of a fire breaking out outside the plane is heard. All the passengers immediately exit the plane and start trying to put out the fire, because if the whole plane burned down, where would they stay until a rescue team arrived? Sometime later, the situation calms down a little. Now, all 8 passengers sit together and try to make sense of things. After the route was changed, exactly which part of the Amazon had they ended up in? Nobody's phone had any signal, meaning in this dense jungle without a satellite phone, making contact with the outside world was nearly impossible. This jungle stretched for hundreds of miles. Walking out from here was also as good as impossible. The biggest problem was that nobody outside even knew their plane had crashed here, meaning no one would come looking for them either. Just then, one of the passengers, a man named Jack, suggests that everyone should get to know each other. He says that only if everyone understands each other will they be able to make the right decision together about what to do next. Jack introduces himself and explains that he is an insurance investigator. His job is to stop people from committing insurance fraud. He was returning to America after completing a case. After this, the second passenger gives his name as Kevin. He was a doctor by profession. Kevin explains that after many years as a doctor, he started a medical equipment business and was returning to America on that same work. Dr. Kevin examines the pilot and understands that his vocal cords have been damaged. That is why he cannot speak. But he was the one person who might be able to get them out of here, so saving him was essential at any cost. After this, the third passenger gives her name as Christy. She says she loves traveling the world and posts her travel videos on social media, but when asked about her past, she refuses to share anything. The fourth passenger was Carlos. He was a wrestler and originally from Mexico. He was heading to America to take part in a fighting competition. After this, a young couple introduces themselves. Their names were Danny and Amy. They say they were recently married and were going to America for their honeymoon. Finally, there is a middle-aged couple, David and Lisa. They ran a hotel in a small American town, but they were heading out for David's heart surgery. In this way, everyone learns a little about each other. With them was the injured pilot who was in no condition to speak. Jack then suggests to everyone that first of all they should gather all the remaining food and water from the plane and distribute it as rations so they can figure out how many days they can survive. They check and find out that the food and water can last at most 3 days. After this, Jack says that if rain or a storm came, they might have to take shelter inside the plane. So the flight attendant's body would have to be placed somewhere far away outside so there is enough room inside the plane. Everyone works together to finish these small tasks. Now the biggest question before them was how to get out of there. Jack and everyone else go to the injured pilot and ask him whether there is a satellite phone on the plane they could use to contact someone for help outside. They also want to know how the plane had deviated from its original route and ended up in this jungle, and how it crashed suddenly without any bad weather. The pilot tries to say something. It seemed like he knew some big secret, but because he could not speak, he is unable to tell them anything. Just then, Jack says that since Kevin is a doctor, he should treat the pilot, but Kevin immediately refuses. He says that surgery would be required to save the pilot, and in this jungle he has neither the right medical equipment nor any medicines. If he operates now, the pilot might die even faster. So everyone decides that for the time being, it would be better to wait for the pilot to recover on his own. Meanwhile, Lisa takes food from the plane and distributes a little to everyone. After eating, everyone begins to hope that perhaps they will be able to get out of there. Just then, Christy looks toward a tall mountain nearby and says that perhaps if they climb up to the top, one of their phones might get a signal, so they should go there and try. But by that time, evening had already arrived, so everyone agrees they will go toward the mountain the next morning. Then the pilot's condition suddenly begins to deteriorate further. Even Kevin, who had been doing nothing until now, understands that if something is not done, the pilot will simply die. So he decides to take the risk. Kevin says that he will somehow try to perform surgery on the pilot in these very conditions. Whether he survives or not would depend on his luck. Taking Kevin's advice, the others search the plane and bring back whatever useful items they can find. They gather a vegetable cutting knife, alcohol, and other small items that could be useful in surgery. Now Dr. Kevin begins the surgery without anesthesia. The pilot writhes badly from the pain, but fortunately the surgery goes better than expected. After the surgery is done, Kevin says that if the pilot rests through the night, perhaps by morning his condition will have improved. But nobody had any idea what was going to happen to them that night. At nighttime, when everyone was sleeping outside, a masked person quietly comes to the injured pilot. Pressing down on his mouth, the person stops his breathing, and within just a few seconds the pilot is dead. The next morning, when everyone wakes up, they are left stunned seeing the pilot's body, because just the previous night after the surgery his condition had improved considerably, and he had been about to tell them something important. Dr. Kevin examines him and says there was no infection in his body, meaning his death was not natural. Now everyone begins discussing that someone should have kept watch over the pilot during the night, but it was too late now. Eventually they think that perhaps his injuries caused his death, so they place the pilot's body near the flight attendant's body under a tree, so that if a rescue team ever arrived, both bodies could be returned to their families. But nobody notices that the pilot's phone had fallen out of his pocket, and Danny quietly picks it up. When Amy asks him about it, Danny tells her not to say anything to anyone because he no longer trusted anybody. After this, Danny goes alone to the pilot's body and cuts off one of his fingers so the fingerprint can be used to unlock the phone. Meanwhile, the middle-aged couple, David and Lisa, are talking among themselves. Lisa tells her husband that she does not think the pilot's death was normal. She had previously worked as a nurse in a hospital and had once seen a patient die from suffocation. Lisa says that the pilot's face had turned the same dark color as that patient, meaning someone had deliberately stopped his breathing, but she had not told the others because it was clear that one of the 8 was a killer. David asks in surprise why a passenger would kill the pilot, but Lisa says they would need to figure that out, and from now on they would have to be very careful. They should not trust anyone other than themselves. Just then, Lisa suddenly senses that someone is listening to their conversation. She immediately stops talking. Meanwhile, the traveler Christy comes to Amy and says she knows that Danny and Amy are not actually going on a honeymoon. Amy then tells the truth. She says she is the daughter of a wealthy businessman, and Danny was the driver at her home. But the two fell in love with each other, and when they felt their families would never accept the relationship, both left home and were running away to America. Christy understands they had lied to the others so nobody would look at them with suspicion. Carlos then brings everyone good news. He had found a GPS device in the plane's wreckage. He says that if he takes this device to the nearby mountain summit and activates it, help might come. Its signal would travel very far. Carlos also says that given how damaged the device is, he will have it fixed by the next day. Hearing this, everyone breathes a small sigh of relief, because at last they could see one hope of getting out. Carlos explains that his father was formerly an electrician and he had learned all of this from him, but he himself wanted to become a fighter, so he had left his father's trade. Jack then says, "All right, today Carlos will fix the GPS device and tomorrow morning everyone will climb the mountain and activate it." But just then, Lisa brings bad news. She says their food has been stolen. Although they had only been stranded there for 1 day, the food that was supposed to last 3 days was nearly gone. Jack and Christy immediately go inside the plane to investigate who had stolen the food. They understand that someone deliberately depleted the rations. During this, Jack notices that Christy is investigating in a very professional way. He says she cannot be an ordinary traveler because an ordinary person does not investigate like this. Then Christy finally tells the truth. She was actually a reporter who traveled to different countries exposing gangs and criminals. That is why she had lied about herself, so that if any of the passengers was a criminal, they would not attack her. Meaning, every person present there was hiding something about their past. Now, since they were running low on food and water, they leave Carlos behind to fix the GPS device, while all the others head into the jungle, searching for food and water. While walking, they spot some blue mushrooms along the way. Christy immediately understands from her reporting experience that these are poisonous mushrooms, and eating them can cause death within a few hours. She warns everyone not to accidentally touch them. She also mentions that such mushrooms usually grow in wet places, meaning there must be a large water source somewhere nearby. Moving a little further, they do indeed find a pond, but the water there was not clean, so finding a way to make it drinkable was necessary. Just then, suddenly, the sound of a gunshot comes from behind. Everyone runs back in fear. When they reach the spot, they see that David has hunted a monkey with his gun so they can eat it and fill their stomachs. In truth, David and Lisa had a gun, which they had not told anyone about. Lisa says they did not want to frighten anyone. That is why they had hidden it. Now everyone cooks the monkey David hunted and eats dinner. Christy and Jack together also work out a way to purify the pond water. In this way, at least for today, the problem of food and water is solved. But Amy cannot eat monkey meat. So that her portion does not go to waste, David eats her share as well. After the meal, Jack asks everyone whether anyone else has anything dangerous hidden like David and Lisa did, because now everyone had the right to know everything. Carlos then opens his bag and shows them. He only had his fighting mask, which represented his fighter identity. He also says that tomorrow they will send a signal for help through the GPS device. So for now, there is no need to be afraid of each other. But that very night, while everyone was sleeping, David's condition suddenly begins to deteriorate, and somewhere in the dark a person was hiding and watching all of this. That mysterious person then takes out a satellite phone and calls a girl. The person says their plan has been completely successful so far and will be pushed forward even faster, meaning one of the passengers had a satellite phone. But the person had deliberately hidden it from everyone and was perhaps the one behind all of this from the start. But why? That was still a big mystery. The next morning, everyone wakes up to the sound of Lisa crying because David had died during the night. Dr. Kevin examines him and reports that there is foam around his mouth, meaning he had food poisoning and was probably fed those same poisonous mushrooms they had seen in the jungle the previous day. Hearing this, Lisa explodes in anger. She starts screaming at everyone that one person among them is killing everyone off one by one. But nobody could yet understand why anyone would do this. None of the 8 had even known each other beforehand. Then, Lisa tells everyone that the pilot's death was not normal either. She had understood at that very moment that someone had deliberately smothered him, but she had not said anything at the time, so everyone would not start fighting with each other. Lisa then remembers that she had told all of this to David, and during that conversation, she had felt that someone was listening to them, meaning whoever had listened to their conversation was the one who later targeted David because David had gotten close to the truth. Now, everyone begins to understand that when they had seen the poisonous mushrooms in the jungle, someone had quietly picked some up and mixed them into David's food that night. The most frightening thing was that David had also eaten Amy's food, meaning perhaps the real target had been Amy. Now every person present is frightened. because if one of them is the killer, then everyone's life was in danger. On top of everything, the plane's sudden crash, and then people dying one by one, was clearly pointing to the fact that this was not an accident, but a plan made in advance. Now everyone starts keeping to themselves, because nobody could trust anyone anymore. Meanwhile, Danny shows Amy the pilot's phone he had hidden earlier. The pilot's final video recording was in that phone. In the video, the pilot himself was saying that a very big secret was hidden on the plane, and the plane had been deliberately crashed. Danny and Amy show that video to everyone else as well. Now everyone is fully convinced that something very big is really going on here, and the deaths of the two people were not merely accidents. During this, Carlos announces that he has finally fixed the GPS device. Now they just needed to reach the mountain summit and activate it. But now, nobody trusted anyone, because if the real killer was among them, that person would never want help to arrive. If the GPS was turned on, everyone could escape from here. Now everyone begins discussing who will go up the mountain and who will stay below to guard the camp. Finally, Jack says he will stay below and manage the camp, while Carlos, Dr. Kevin, and Christy will go up the mountain and install the GPS device. All three now head toward the mountain with the device. Their plan was clear. If one of them turned out to be the killer, the other two would handle it together. During the climb, Carlos starts chewing gum. Christy looks at his gum wrapper and immediately understands it was part of the food that had been stolen earlier, meaning Carlos was the one who had stolen the food. Now suspicion starts building in Christy's mind that perhaps he could be the real killer too. But she says nothing to anyone for the moment. She quietly starts keeping an eye on Carlos. For caution, she also takes the GPS device from Carlos and keeps it with herself because she was afraid Carlos might damage it. Now all three slowly keep moving toward the summit. After many hours of difficult climbing, they finally reach the top. But just then, Christy's foot suddenly slips, and she ends up dangling off the edge of the mountain. The most dangerous thing was that the GPS device had also fallen near the edge. If that device fell down, their last hope of getting out would be gone. So putting her own life at risk, Christy first grabs the device. Carlos and Kevin, without caring about their own lives, start pulling Christy up, and finally together they save both Christy and the device. After this incident, a little trust begins to build among the three, because if any of them had been the killer, they could easily have left the others to die. But they had saved each other's lives. Now finally, Carlos starts installing the GPS device. Dr. Kevin checks for a signal on his phone, but still there was no network, meaning their last remaining hope was only this GPS device. A little later, Carlos happily announces that the device has finally been activated, and within a few hours, its signal will travel far and wide. The sun was now beginning to set, so all three start heading back toward camp. Meanwhile, back at the camp below, the remaining people could no longer trust each other at all. Lisa, with her gun in hand, tells Jack to stay away because after her husband's death, she had begun to suspect every person. Meanwhile, Danny also starts getting angry with Amy. He tells her that from now on she will not talk to anyone else and he will handle everything. But Amy had now started to suspect Danny herself. She began thinking that perhaps she had made a very big mistake running away with her driver because she knew nothing about Danny's past. She had run away with him, blinded by love, and now in this jungle people were dying one by one. Hearing Amy's concerns, Danny starts shouting in anger. He says that if it were not for him, Amy would be dead by now. Seeing this side of Danny frightens Amy because she had never seen him so angry before. She starts regretting her decision. Meanwhile, all four at the camp keep looking at each other with suspicious eyes. A little later, Carlos, Kevin, and Christy return to camp from the mountain. They say the GPS device has been activated properly, and if luck holds, a rescue team should arrive by the next day. Now the remaining 7 sit in an eerie silence and eat dinner. Everyone was thinking only one thing, that somehow they just needed to stay alive until the next morning. As night falls, everyone goes to sleep, but Carlos alone starts his fighting practice. He wanted to complete his preparation for the competition. Carlos was so obsessed with his dreams that even in these terrible conditions his focus was only on practice. That is also why he had stolen food earlier, so his diet would not be disrupted. But then suddenly, Carlos sees someone dressed in black standing in the darkness ahead, and the most terrifying thing was that the person was wearing Carlos's fighting mask. Before he can understand what is happening, the mysterious person attacks Carlos with a knife, and within just a few seconds, Carlos is murdered. The next morning, when everyone wakes up, Carlos is nowhere to be seen. Jack says they should split up and search for him, but Dr. Kevin reminds everyone that if the GPS device is working, a rescue team should have arrived by now. None of them knew that someone had quietly cut the GPS device's wire during the night, meaning no signal had been going out at all. Unaware of this truth, the others head into the jungle to search for Carlos. But even after searching for a long time, Carlos is nowhere to be found. Kevin then says they should go back up the mountain and check the GPS device. Christy also agrees to go with him because sending anyone alone was now very dangerous. Both of them head toward the mountain. On the way, they suddenly see a large number of birds circling in one place in the sky. Seeing this, both of them understand something has happened there. So instead of heading toward the mountain, they move in that direction, and when they arrive, their hearts sink because Carlos's body is lying there. Someone had murdered him the previous night and dumped his body there. Kevin and Christy return to camp and tell the others they have lost another companion. Now everyone's suspicion starts shifting toward Danny and Amy because the previous night Carlos had been sleeping closest to the two of them. Although Danny tries to explain why would he do something like this. But now, one question was going through everyone's mind. If one of them is the killer, then what is the motive? Why is the person killing everyone one by one? Then, Lisa reveals that the previous night, all the bullets from her gun were stolen. She only had one last bullet left, which was in her pocket. Hearing this, Kevin says that when he had treated Danny, he had noticed a tattoo on his back, and such a tattoo is usually associated with gang members, meaning Danny could be connected to some gang. On top of that, Amy also knew nothing about his past, so the suspicion deepens further. But Danny says he had not gotten that tattoo himself. He had been sent to prison on false charges, and gang members there had forcibly put that tattoo on his body. He says that after getting out of prison, he tried to change his life, and that is when he got the driver job at Amy's house. That is where he fell in love with Amy. Danny clearly states he is not a criminal, and he is not behind any of this. He also tells Amy that initially he had been attracted to her money, but later he genuinely fell in love with her, and now he would do anything to protect her. During this evening arrives, and suddenly a violent storm and heavy rain breaks out in the jungle. Everyone runs back inside the plane. But just then, they finally see the thing that was perhaps behind all of this. A section of the plane's roof breaks off because of the rain, and several large bags fall down. When Jack moves the roof aside and looks properly, everyone is stunned because those bags were packed with several white packets. Everyone immediately understands that these are drugs, and their worth would be in the hundreds of millions. Now slowly, everything begins to become clear. The airline was actually smuggling drugs under the cover of carrying ordinary passengers. Perhaps this is why their flight tickets had been so much cheaper than other flights. Now Danny, who had previously worked with a gang, immediately recognizes this as a massive drug operation. He understands that perhaps the airline's secret had somehow been leaked, and because of that the plane was deliberately crashed in this jungle. Everyone now understands that the killer among them was perhaps trying to take possession of these drugs. But several questions still remained. If the motive was only to get hold of the drugs, then why was there any need to kill the other passengers? Just then Amy suddenly panics and runs out of the plane. She feels that whoever did all of this will now kill them too. Danny immediately runs after her. Meanwhile, Kevin says nobody should go outside alone. After this, Lisa also goes outside with her gun to look for Amy. Outside in the heavy rain and storm, nothing could be heard clearly. Lisa is searching for Amy in the jungle when suddenly, the same mysterious killer attacks her from behind. Multiple knife strikes are made on Lisa. Before dying, Lisa tries to pull off the killer's mask to see the face, but she is not successful, and within just a few moments, Lisa is also dead. The next morning, when the others see Lisa's body, everyone is completely shattered. They had tried everything, but the killer kept killing someone or the other again and again. Now, every person present starts suspecting everyone else, but nobody had any solid evidence. Then suddenly, Christy points her gun at Jack. She says she found the bullets stolen from Lisa's gun in Jack's belongings, meaning Jack could be the real killer. But that was not Christy's only evidence. She had also found a satellite phone in Jack's bag. Christy was now fully convinced that Jack was behind all of this. However, Jack declares himself innocent. He says yes, he had removed the bullets from Lisa's gun, but he did it because he thought Lisa was the killer. He only wanted to protect the others, but the satellite phone was not his. Jack says the real killer had placed that phone in his bag to frame him. Kevin then quickly says they should use that satellite phone right away to call for help, but Christy says she has already tried. The phone has a password on it, and it cannot be used without the password. Now, since the phone was found in Jack's bag, everyone believes only Jack would know the password. But Jack keeps saying the phone is not his, and he does not know any password. Danny then attacks Jack in anger, but Kevin stops him, saying that if they kill Jack, the phone will never be unlocked, and they will not be able to get out of here. So for now, it was necessary to keep Jack alive. After this, they tie Jack up. Now the remaining 4 decide that someone will have to get the truth out of Jack, and finally this responsibility is given to Dr. Kevin. Kevin goes to Jack and asks him for the password once more, but Jack again says he knows nothing. Forced into it, Kevin starts torturing him. He begins pulling out his fingernails. Meanwhile, at the same time, Christy, Danny, and Amy go up to check on the GPS device installed on the mountain. When they arrive, they are stunned because someone had pulled out the GPS device's wire, meaning for all this time, no signal had been going out at all. Christy quickly reconnects the wire, and the GPS device finally starts working again. Now their location reaches America, where people had been trying to find the missing plane for several days. But the problem was that the location was in a part of the Amazon jungle that fell outside American territory. On top of that, the airline was not registered in America either, so the American military could not go there directly. During this, a government investigator named Claire arrives at the airline's office. She orders an investigation to be opened against the company because one of their planes had been missing for several days and the company had not informed anyone about it. But the airline's manager, Cora, says with a smile that she is welcome to investigate all she wants because the plane crashed outside America and only the Mexican army can go there. At this point, a major revelation comes to light. The investigator Claire was actually Jack's wife, and Jack had gone on a secret mission against the airline. He was investigating the entire drug trafficking operation. That is why Claire was now trying to find him. After this revelation, one thing becomes clear. Jack cannot be the real killer, but the others still in the jungle were still suspecting him. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Christy comes to Jack alone. By now, she too had started to feel that Jack was perhaps being framed. Jack explains to her that if he had really been the killer, he would not have just taken the bullets, but the entire gun, and could then have easily killed the others. But he had not done that. Christy feels his argument makes sense, so she quietly unties Jack's ropes and tells him to escape from there so the others cannot torture him again. The next morning, when the others see that Jack is gone, they are left astonished. Christy behaves as though she knows nothing, but Danny and Amy are frightened because if Jack was really the killer, he was now free and could take revenge on anyone, especially Kevin, who had badly tortured him the previous night. Kevin himself now starts to get scared. Then Danny decides that he will take Amy and separate from the rest because he no longer trusted anyone. But Christy tries to reason with him. She says that if everyone splits up, it will become even easier for the real killer to take people out. But Danny says that despite staying together for so many days, several of their companions have already died, so splitting up is now the better option. Meanwhile, Jack also moves far from camp and starts looking for a safe place to stay alone because now everyone except Christy considered him the killer. During this, Danny reassures Amy that he will not let anything happen to her. They say the GPS device is now on and a rescue team will arrive soon. And indeed, that is exactly what happens. The Mexican army finally picks up their signal. A military team now sets off in a helicopter toward the Amazon jungle. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Danny and Amy were sitting together while the others had gone off in different directions. Then suddenly, multiple gunshots ring out through the entire jungle. Hearing this, all the others run quickly back toward camp, but when they arrive, their hearts nearly stop, because Danny and Amy were both lying on the ground. Someone had shot them from behind and killed both of them. Now only 3 people were left in the jungle. Christy, Dr. Kevin, and Jack, all begin looking at each other with suspicious eyes, because it was now clear that the real killer was one of these three, the very same person who had been killing everyone off one by one from the very beginning. On the other side, the military helicopter was also slowly moving toward that same location. More big twists are still to come in the story ahead, where it will be revealed who the real killer is and who was truly the mastermind behind this entire plane crash. The rest of the story will be covered in the next part. Now, Dr. Kevin, Christy, and Jack are all looking at each other with fear and suspicion, because one among these three is the real killer. Christy thinks Jack is the killer because it was he who had freed her the previous night, and now Danny and Amy are both dead. On the other side, Kevin thinks Jack and Christy are working together, because otherwise why would Christy free Jack in the middle of the night without telling anyone? During this, the Mexican Army helicopter also arrives at the location from above, but because of the dense forest, they can't see anything below, so they start circling the helicopter around looking for the wreckage of the plane. Down below, all three survivors are standing with guns pointed at each other. Now, while Christy is putting the blame on Jack, Jack suspects Dr. Kevin because he is a doctor and knows every weakness of the human body. But Dr. Kevin reminds him of how he had saved Christy from falling off the mountain. If he were the killer, he would have deliberately let her die. Now all three had their own points that made it seem like any of them could be the killer. But at the same time, there were also reasons proving that none of them were the killer. A debate was going on between them over exactly these points. Just then, they see the Army helicopter passing overhead, meaning after the GPS device was turned on again, its signal had reached the Army. But a very dense fog descends from above, which is why the Army couldn't see anything below. So the Army heads back for now to prevent the helicopter from crashing into the mountain, and they decide to return the next day once the fog clears. The three survivors down below also understand that they'll have to wait here a little while longer. Then Jack says that before the Army returns, they need to create some kind of marker that the Army can see from above. But Christy refuses to cooperate because Dr. Kevin has a gun. Then Dr. Kevin, to prove his own innocence, puts his gun down and removes all the bullets and throws them into a pond. After everything calms down, Christy says they will go up to the top of the mountain and light dry leaves on fire to send a signal. But Dr. Kevin doesn't want to go up with Jack because the previous night he had tortured Jack. If Jack is really the killer, he would definitely take revenge. So taking Kevin's concern into account, Christy and Jack decide to go up together. Since Christy had been the one to free Jack, she would go with him, and when the Army spotted them from above, they would come down to rescue them. Now Christy finds this plan reasonable and starts heading up with Jack. However, because of the torture, Jack can't walk properly. So Christy asks him to rest for a little while, and then the two of them start talking about how they ended up stuck in this jungle. Then, Christy tells him that she doesn't think Jack is the killer, but that Dr. Kevin is the real killer. The two are still talking when suddenly, the sound of a gunshot rings out. They understand the shot came from the direction of their camp, so both of them immediately run back toward camp to see what happened. But on reaching there, they are stunned because Dr. Kevin is lying dead. He had been shot from behind, and because his body had fallen into the pond, his face had been partially eaten by fish. Now, Christy and Jack are both in shock because the very person they had suspected as the killer had himself been killed. And at the time Kevin died, both Christy and Jack were together. If either of them were the killer, how could they have killed Kevin? The question of there being anyone else in this vast jungle didn't even arise. The situation had become even more complicated than before. So they decide to spend that night inside the plane, and the next morning go up the mountain again to light a fire and signal the Army. But unfortunately, on that day too, the mountaintop remains covered in dense fog. So they sit by the GPS device and wait, because the helicopter could come at any time that day. Now Jack tells Christy the real truth, that he is a government investigator who had come to find out the actual truth about this entire airline disaster. But someone had found out about this, and because of that, the entire flight had been deliberately crashed in the jungle so that no truth could come out. Here, Jack also talks about his wife Claire, who is trying to find him. Jack says his wife is also an investigator just like him, so she would never give up looking for him. On the other side, Claire is shown telling her daughter that she will find her father no matter what. After this, she arrives in Mexico so she can put pressure on the Mexican army to speed up the search for the plane's location. Up on the mountain, as the sun rises, the fog starts clearing a little. Just then, they feel like someone is nearby. Christy says that since Jack has an injured leg, he should stay here while she goes toward where the sound came from, although there was still dense fog all around. Even so, Jack starts following her. Just then, someone suddenly strikes Christy on the head and knocks her unconscious, and that person is the real killer. The killer picks up Christy's gun and moves toward Jack. The killer is wearing black clothes and a mask over the face, so no one can recognize who it is. Now Jack starts backing away to save his life. He sees that he has reached the very edge of the mountain. Before dying, Jack asks the killer why he killed everyone else, what was his benefit, and who he really is. But the killer says nothing and fires straight at Jack. After 2 shots, Jack falls off the mountain. Now only Christy is left, but she too is in a half-dead state. She knows the killer will kill her too. So before dying, she asks the killer to show their face. Finally, the killer removes the mask, and Christy is left astonished seeing the face. The person they had never even suspected was the real killer. After this, the killer shoots Christy too. The next morning, when the army returns to the jungle, the fog is reduced, and they pick up the signal from the GPS device. Along with this, they also find the crashed plane at the base of the mountain. The rescue team arrives at the scene and sees that no one survived. They examine the plane and see its broken section, but the surprising thing is that all the packages had gone missing. Now the question arises, where did those packages go? Sometime later, all the bodies are found laid out in a line. Some people had died 2 weeks earlier when the plane crashed. After this, all the dead bodies are taken to a hospital. Meanwhile, Claire is told that the army has found the plane crash site, but there was no hope of anyone surviving, and that included her husband Jack. Hearing this, Claire breaks down. But before the bodies can be received, certain formalities have to be completed. So a female doctor is called to the army base, where all 9 bodies are kept. All the bodies are placed in a room for forensic examination to determine the actual cause of death. Meanwhile, the airline manager Cora is keeping an eye on all of it because she too has a secret plan. A little while later, the doctor who had been called by the army for the forensic examination is stopped on the way under some pretext and is detained in the name of an interview. When the killer is certain she is completely alone, the doctor is killed, and taking her place, the killer enters the army base pretending to be her. Now, all the dead bodies are kept in a room. Just then, someone from inside one of the bags suddenly cuts the bag open with a knife and comes out, meaning one person among them was still alive, and that was the real killer. In truth, it turns out to be none other than Dr. Kevin. Yes, this is the biggest twist of the entire story, and he starts opening all the body bags one by one. Outside, Cora also gets inside using that same doctor's ID. She makes up an excuse that she needs to complete the entire process alone, so a soldier is sent along with her. When both of them arrive in the mortuary, they see that all the bags are already open. The soldier looks around to see who did this. Just then, Kevin comes from behind and knocks the soldier unconscious. Now seeing Kevin in front of her, Cora is overjoyed, and the two of them embrace each other, meaning these two had been planning together from the very beginning. In truth, Dr. Kevin's purpose was to take out the drug packages that were on the plane, so he had killed everyone one by one and hidden the drug packages inside the bodies. That's why when the army arrived there, they found nothing, because the packages had already been hidden inside the bodies, and Kevin himself had also hidden inside one of those bags, pretending to be a dead body. Now they are removing the packages from all the bodies. Meanwhile, outside, Claire also arrives there. She needs to identify her husband Jack's body, but she is asked to wait inside. Just then inside, Cora and Kevin empty all the body bags and pour chemicals on them and set the entire lab on fire so no evidence would remain. Outside, when Claire and a soldier are going inside, a massive explosion occurs and all the soldiers rush to put out the fire. In the chaos and confusion, Cora and Kevin take a vehicle and flee. Meanwhile, some soldiers are still investigating who had killed everyone while wearing a mask, but no evidence is found. Just then, suddenly a live signal is received from below, and it is Jack, who survives even after being shot twice and falling off the mountain. In truth, because of the fog, the bullets hadn't hit him fully, and while falling, he got caught in a tree. That is how he survived. Jack uses sunglasses to signal that he is alive. Meanwhile, Claire is broken down, but then she is told that her husband is alive and has been taken to the hospital. The doctors say he is now out of danger. Jack later finds out that there was no one by the name Dr. Kevin on the dead list at all. Then he realizes that the real killer was that very Kevin who had been killing everyone under a fake identity and smuggling the drugs by hiding them inside the bodies. Now Jack and the army head toward Cora's house. Meanwhile, Kevin and Cora are happy that their plan succeeded, but Kevin doesn't know that Jack is still alive and has figured everything out. Kevin slowly poisons Cora and kills her by mixing wild mushrooms into her food, and Cora dies. Now Kevin tries to flee with the drugs in a small plane, but Jack fires to stop him, and one bullet hits the plane's fuel tank, causing fuel to start leaking, and the plane begins going down. Finally, that very plane crashes in the same location where the earlier accident had happened, and Dr. Kevin dies in the very place where he had killed everyone else. And with this, the entire story comes to an end right there.